Hey mums, if you are watching this, it's probably because you're feeling exhausted, run down and depleted. You've probably been brushing it aside like we all do, thinking it's just part of being a mum, but there's this other part of you that is like, I'm really sick of feeling like this. I've been there, and pretty much every mum I've ever spoken to has felt like this at some stage after having their babies. And here's the thing, pregnancy takes a huge toll on the body. And then we have our babies, and it's actually really hard to look after yourself and prioritize your health. So this affects our ability to recover from pregnancy. And this is what leads to postnatal depletion, when we're not recovering nutritionally, hormonally, or emotionally after the birth of our babies. And the thing about postnatal depletion is that a lot of the signs and symptoms are things that have been really normalized as just part of being a mum. Extreme exhaustion, baby brain, getting run down. So it's easy for us to neglect our needs while we're just getting further and further depleted. So in this video, we're going to talk about the signs and symptoms of postnatal depletion, the causes, and I'm going to give you 5 steps that you can start today to help you recover and get your health back on track. This includes my best tips for making healthy eating quick and easy so you can actually do it. I'm going to show you the specific way I recommend mums eat, what we focus on, briefly cover supplements, recharging your nervous system, and something I've created called the Basic Needs Checklist. And to help you take action on these steps, I've created a free download that ties it all together that you can grab on my website. I'm Michaela Teresi. I'm a naturopath and nutritionist. I specialize in postpartum health and supporting mums through the baby and toddler years. And I am really looking forward to talking about this with you because I've been there, completely burnt out, completely exhausted after my first daughter. And these exact steps that I'm going to give you today is what's helped me move out of that postnatal depletion with my first daughter, and is what's supporting me through the second time postpartum with my second daughter, who's now 9 months old. Because that's the other thing about postnatal depletion. It doesn't matter if your child is 3 months old or 3 years old. If you haven't recovered from pregnancy, you are going to get those postnatal depletion symptoms. So, besides the extreme exhaustion and fatigue, what else do we see with postnatal depletion? Hypervigilance is a key symptom, and this is where you feel tired but wired, like you're always switched on. That baby radar is always really switched on, and this can come with a lot of over-worrying, overthinking. You might have that general sense of unease or anxiety, so that's a very key symptom. The other one is baby brain, and we've all experienced this to some extent, and it's just that real brain fog, that trouble concentrating and remembering things that, again, we just accept is part of being a mum. You could be getting sick all the time or noticing a worsening of old health issues, so they're coming back. Particularly with inflammatory issues, so things like asthma, eczema, skin conditions. You could also feel emotionally very up and down and feel like you're not really coping, and also feeling like you're not coping with things that you normally would as well. Low libido is another one, digestive issues, dental issues, hair loss or thinning, stubborn weight. These are all things that we'll see in that postnatal depletion picture. So yes, quite a broad range of symptoms, a lot of fun stuff for us to deal with, but when we look at what leads to postnatal depletion, how we actually get there, we can start to see why there's so many different aspects of our health being affected. So how are we getting there? What is causing postnatal depletion? Well, let's start with the amazing thing that is pregnancy. I think we can really skim over the fact that there are some really incredible things that are happening with our body during pregnancy. Not just the amazing thing of growing a human and an extra organ, our placenta, but our whole biology changes during pregnancy. Our brain literally gets an upgrade and it's rewired for motherhood. Even our senses become heightened to be more attuned to our baby. So it really is an incredible thing that we've just been through. And during pregnancy, the placenta will ensure that our baby gets all those key nutrients it needs for growth and development. So iron, B12, zinc, essential fatty acids, just to name a few. But this can mean that in the process, our nutrient stores of these key nutrients can become depleted. And these are pretty important. They are essential for our energy levels, mood, hormones, immune system. Like, they are really key nutrients we need. So if we're being depleted during pregnancy, that means we're entering into the postpartum stage already depleted. And then we go and add on all those extra challenges that we face, not only in the postpartum period, but in that first year or two. And so things like sleep deprivation. Do you know mums lose 700 hours of sleep in that first year? I mean, I can testament to that. I think I've lost that many already, but I mean, that is a lot of sleep to lose. And this is why sleep deprivation is a huge driving factor in postnatal depletion, because sleep is when we recover from the day. It's when our body rejuvenates. It's when our brain detoxes for the day, so we can wake up feeling refreshed and ready to go. So when our body is under that stress of not having that restorative sleep, it really affects so many different aspects of our health. Our immune system, our brain function, our mood, our energy levels, our digestive system, everything is affected by sleep, which is why it does play such a big role in this postnatal depletion. And then hormone imbalances is another big factor. And there's some really interesting things that go on in our body hormonally during pregnancy. So obviously there's a huge surge and increase in hormones, but our stress response system actually gets put on hold during pregnancy. Because our cortisol levels are quite elevated, our placenta actually takes over as a bit of a hormonal control center. And it does this beautiful job of juggling all these different hormonal changes. But then that means when we birth our babies, the placenta comes out, we then have to start producing these hormones again, and we have to start re-upgrading our stress response system. So that's a big job for the body right there. So sometimes if that nice rebalancing of hormones doesn't happen, particularly by the end of the 4th trimester, we can start to see a lot of those postnatal depletion symptoms that are related to hormone imbalances. And then another thing that factors into postnatal depletion is we don't really have that lovely restorative period postpartum. A lot of traditional cultures have some really nice mother-centered practices where they really understand the importance of mum recovering from pregnancy and childbirth, whereas in our culture we don't really have that. So we have the baby and the focus really goes onto the baby instead of focusing on the mother and her recovery. So it is getting better, and a lot of people are starting to talk about it, which is great, but it's not something that's standard practice for us to be sent home with, information about how to actually look after ourselves. And then if you have other children that you have to look after, or maybe you don't have a lot of support around, this is all going to play into whether you're able to really have that restorative time as well. And then there's the emotional factors, and this is something that I think many of us probably don't really think about how much it really affects us, but if you've had birth trauma, or if you got off to a little bit of a rocky start, I do feel like it kind of puts you in this fight or flight mode from get-go, and it will really heighten those hypervigilance symptoms that we see. So for me, I had a very unexpected C-section with my first daughter, Honey. She came a few weeks early, and I was totally unprepared for it. The birth could not be further from what I'd envisioned. And, we had to spend a bit of time in the hospital, and then because she'd come early, none of our family was there. I was feeding around the clock, so I wasn't sleeping very much and recovering from a C-section. And so I really was running on adrenaline. I could feel it. I literally could not switch off. So it didn't take long for me to end up really exhausted and constantly run down and really in that hypervigilance state, which at the time I thought that was just part of being a new mum, that anxiety and over worrying. But now in hindsight, I can see I was very much in that hypervigilance state. So sometimes things don't go to plan. Sometimes things don't go the way that we expect. We all have different experiences, and it affects us all differently. But we all need support. Every mother needs support. So whether you're feeling just on the edge and you've got a few of those symptoms niggling away, or you feel like, Michaela, I am 100% in postnatal depletion, either way, let's chat about it. Let's chat about how we can recover and how we can support you and really focus in on your health. So these are the 5 steps that I recommend you take. You can start today. They are super simple. We are taking all the overwhelm out of it, and we are being really practical here. This is what I've done to pull myself out of postnatal depletion with my first daughter, and I'll tell you what, my health actually improved even better than it was before her pregnancy. I had a few niggling health issues, and after implementing these steps, all these health issues started to clear up. My gut health improved. I lost weight easily for the first time ever. Usually that would be a really big struggle for me. My immune system was great. My skin was clear. So if you're looking to improve your health, I promise you, being consistent with these steps that I'm going to give you, you're going to see some real improvements in your health. The first thing we're going to do is really focus on helping you recover nutritionally. And that's because I feel like everything kind of flows from there. Our hormones rebalancing, our immune system, our gut health, nourishing the adrenals, this all stems from that foundation of what we're feeding our body. But here's where I do things a little bit differently. If you have postnatal depletion, or you even feel, you're just watching this and you feel exhausted, I can guarantee you have very little motivation and probably very little time. So what we want to do is take as much stress and overwhelm out of healthy eating as possible. This is like the whole basis of my approach to healthy eating. And I think, we really overcomplicate healthy eating. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be hard. And particularly when you're going through either the postpartum period or a very challenging time, teething babies and sleep deprivation, we really need to just simplify. So here's the first step, is we are going to make healthy eating as quick and easy as possible. Because when you do that, you'll be able to actually be consistent at it. You'll be able to eat healthy day in, day out. Even if you're operating on 3 hours collective sleep, you'll know how to get into the kitchen and create a really simple, nourishing, and quick meal. So there's 3 things that I'm going to share with you how to make it super quick and easy. The first thing is obviously quick and easy recipes. I've spent nearly 3 years creating really quick and easy recipes for this reason, that I wanted to help mums. Because when I became a mum, I was like, where are all the easy recipes? Like the healthy ones, not the ones held together by cheese, but where's the real healthy, quick, easy meals for mums? And so I had to learn how to cook. I had to learn how to take shortcuts and create these really quick recipes that I could get done even on the most exhausting, unmotivated days. And the second time around, after having my daughter Olive, man, it was so much easier. At night time, when the witching hour comes around, I knew that I could get a 1-tray bake prepped and in the oven in 5 minutes. Like I could get a batch of muffins prepped for 5 minutes, and that would, be my snack, my breastfeeding snack or my breakfast. So I can tell you it is such a game changer, just really adapting that quick and easy mentality and that approach to healthy eating. So the second thing is meal prep. And I'm not talking about an hour or 2 hour long meal prep. It can be as simple as 15 minutes. It could be 5 minutes. You could just prep one recipe. But what meal prep does is it really helps to take that time, overwhelm, and thinking out of what you're eating. So you can spend 15 minutes in the kitchen, and that will give you your breakfast, a snack, and even maybe lunch. So for 3 days straight, you can open the fridge and you don't even have to think about eating healthy because it's already prepared for you. So the third thing is, and that has actually really changed night times for me, is getting dinner on early. I will get dinner on sometimes at 10 o'clock in the morning. Like if that's when I have a chance, particularly when you're going through a bit of a challenging season with the kids, or, Bubby wants to be on you all the time. Seize that moment and go and chuck dinner on. And then, you can just breeze through dinner time, no stress. Witching hour is just not even happening because you don't have to be in the kitchen. So honestly, something I still do every day if I can. It's my number 1 tip for new mums or mums that have babies and young kids at home. So this is really all about being consistent, because that is when we see results in our health. So now let's go into what we're actually going to eat. And this is really important for supporting our recovery and also keeping us really fueled and energized as well. So I like to focus on foods that are going to be specific for nourishing the adrenals, supporting gut health, supporting our hormone balancing, supporting our immune system, and replenishing those nutrients lost during pregnancy, and keeping our energy levels up as much as possible. So that sounds like a lot. That was a mouthful, but it's actually quite simple. We keep things very simple around here. When you focus on unprocessed foods and you know how to take those foods and make them into a meal, it actually becomes really quite easy to eat a largely unprocessed way of eating. So lots of nice healthy fats, particularly fatty fish and seeds, so we can get those omegas, good quality animal products, so we get that B12, iron, zinc, choline, lots of fresh produce, nice gentle carbs like baked veggies, rice and quinoa, and bone broth and collagen building foods in there as well. I don't think about portion sizes. I don't recommend you do. I think just eat as much as you need. Your body knows what you need. And if you're eating good food, just go with it, particularly in that postpartum stage. And if you're breastfeeding as well, you have high nutritional needs. So just let your body's hunger cues tell you how much you need to eat. And shifting that focus completely changed my whole approach to food. If you're someone that has been on a lot of diets or a lot of different health regimes, you know that in the back of your mind, you're always analyzing things. I don't do that ever. I never feel guilty about food. I never overthink it. If I'm hungry, I eat more. If I'm not, I eat less. And it just takes so much pressure off you. And that is exactly what you want right now. Less pressure. We don't want to be restricting ourselves. We don't want to be putting these rules and limitations. We just want to eat real food that's going to help us feel good and recover. So here's the thing. If you are feeling really exhausted right now, you are not feeling very motivated to eat healthy right now. Like, I know if I've had a big night up with Olive, who's teething always, I don't feel like eating healthy. I just don't. But luckily I know how to incorporate healthy foods that satisfy that, insatiable need for carbs when you've been up all night, but also make me feel balanced and make me feel full and fueling you the right way. So I like to include a lot of home-baked goods. This is what I did first back with honey. I wasn't getting much sleep, so I would wake up feeling like carbs in the morning. And so I would make a big healthy banana bread. I would freeze it, and that's what I'd have for breakfast for most days. And it really helps because it not only is feeding your body really nutritious food, but it gives you that balance where you're feeling like, I need sugar, I need carbs, so you're giving your body what it needs, but just the right type. Okay, so craving carbs is okay. We're just going to eat the right ones, and that's why I am a big advocate for mums actually including carbohydrates. Having rice, and quinoa and pastas, things like that, that is totally fine, and it can be done the right way so that you're feeling good when you're eating it. It's not sucking your energy and you feel balanced, right? So one little thing I do recommend is really minimizing inflammatory foods. So wheat, dairy and sugar are the three biggies for me. Most people have a bit of a problem with wheat and dairy. So look, don't freak out. If you love having your yogurt, keep having your yogurt if you feel good on it. But I'm just saying from experience, not just with myself, but with other mums that I've worked with, it does make a really big difference to your digestion, your energy levels and inflammation. And the reason why I recommend, eating a very anti-inflammatory style way is because we don't want to put any more burden on our adrenals, any more burden on our gut health. Because inflammation triggers cortisol production. And cortisol, the cheeky thing that it is, will actually take priority over our other hormones being produced. And that's not what we want when we're trying to recover, particularly hormonally in that first year postpartum. So those are a couple of things that sort of form the basis of my approach to healthy eating, and that I've found extremely effective with helping mums support their health too. Okay, so the next thing is supplements. Now, I am big on using your food as medicine, the foundation of your health, but there are some times that you'll need to supplement, and post-pregnancy is generally one of those times. I'm not going to go into it too much in this video, but I will share with you a couple of my favorites. DHA, zinc and magnesium are three that I find most new mums are low in, and they are really key for some really important functions. So the brain fog, baby brain, inflammation, relaxation, nourishing that stress response, hormones, digestion. So those are three of my favorites. And then you'll also want to work with a practitioner who can assess your iron, B12, other key nutrients that are often depleted during pregnancy as well. Using herbal medicine can also be really helpful. So using herbs that are adaptogens, adrenal tonics, nervine herbs, and things that really help to support the body overall. So another really important thing is recharging our nervous system, trying to keep that relaxation response switched on, and so we're not in that constant fight or flight mode. I know that this can be really hard as a mum, Firstly, because it's almost like you forget how to relax when you're a mum, but also some days are just so crazy, it can feel like, how am I meant to even carve out 5 minutes of time for myself? So what I found helps is just telling yourself 5 minutes a day, just 5 minutes. We can all find that. And in that 5 minutes, we're wanting to be really intentional about turning on that relaxation response. So not sitting on Instagram scrolling, but actually doing something that the nervous system can respond to and feel recharged from. So some of my favorites is, just doing some breath work, so some breathing. You can find videos on everything for free now. Breathing, a 5 to 10 minute meditation. Even, if you can do a 10-minute Epsom salt bath once a week, that is really helpful as well for that uptake of magnesium. Or a foot bath. You could put the Epsom salt in the foot bath if you can't, find the actual time to get into a proper bath. Doing some stretching, we're always tight, our shoulders, our hamstrings, just these little things are so simple and we make them so big in our head, but like it's such a big task, but then once you do it, you're like, oh gosh, I really needed that. So I really encourage you, just 5 minutes a day, and then work your way up. The days that you can do longer, do longer. And then this brings me to the basic needs checklist, or the balanced mama checklist. And something I've noticed as mums is that we will put everyone else's needs ahead of our own, and then we're not even meeting our basic baseline needs, like hydrating, eating 3 healthy meals a day, taking time out to recharge, or some gentle movement, and sleep. And I know sleep is a tricky one with babies, and I'm not here to offer any advice on that because my babies do not sleep through the night. You have to prioritize sleep in any way that you can. So that might mean going to bed early if you can't nap during the day. If you can nap through the day, great. But if you can't, I find that I know you want to stay up and feel like you've had some time to yourself, but it's really important to prioritize that sleep. We know how much of a factor that plays in postnatal depletion and how it affects our overall health. So, it's just something that really has to take priority over everything else. So this basic needs checklist is part of the free download that I have made for you, and it's just a nice gentle prompt to remind you that your needs matter. Your very basic needs are still so important, and you wouldn't believe how much of a difference it makes in how you feel. Because a big part of postnatal depletion is feeling overwhelmed and feeling like we're not coping, feeling like there's no time for us. So I hope that these very simple steps that I've given you give you some encouragement to see that it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to go and overhaul your whole life. You can just implement some really simple things that can be enough to help you kickstart looking after your health and making yourself a priority again. When we have a baby, looking after ourselves and even how we eat is going to look a little bit different to how it did before, and that's okay. We just have to be okay with where we're at. We're not aiming for perfection, we're aiming for consistency. And I think if you just keep in the forefront of your mind that you are prioritizing your health, focus on your health, how you feel, and it will make this a lot easier. So I hope this has helped to shed a bit of light on postnatal depletion. It really is postnatal depletion in a nutshell. We could go into a lot more about it, but I feel like when you're in that depleted state, what you need is just simple things that you can take action on. But if you do want to know more about postnatal depletion, the doctor who actually coined the term postnatal depletion, he has written a book on it called The Postnatal Depletion Cure. So you might like to dive into that one if you want to know a little bit more about the nitty gritty, but I just wanted to give you some really simple, actionable tips that you can get started with today. I would love to continue helping you. You can find heaps of recipes, resources, and me on my website, kuluco.com. If you have any questions, you want to talk more about what we've discussed today in this video, please leave me a comment below and we can continue having this conversation. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed sharing this all with you.